Welcome to AtVenture DealFlow, the podcast where we speak to fundraising founders and the investors who backed in. Today, I'm speaking with Catharina Savelkoul, co-founder of legml. Legml is building the platform that brings sovereign, customized AI to every organization. Welcome, Katja. I would like to ask you to share your story about legml and about yourself and why you started with this, basically. The floor is
Yeah, I
yours.
think so. I think we probably have to go all the way back. I'm Dutch. I'm 25 years old, but I grew up in Valkenburg aan de Geul, which is like in the south of the Netherlands.
Okay.
And
Limburg, or
yeah,
yeah.
Limburg, exactly. And then when I was 18, moved to London to do my undergrad at King's College London, and then I worked at BCG for a bit. But then I kind of realized that wasn't for me either. So then I went to Oxford for my master's and PhD. And it was during this time that I met so many incredible founders. So some like people who had already started companies, exited, and were just starting a PhD because they didn't know what else to do. Some people who were translating their PhD into startups. It was like the first time I was like involved in this ecosystem of like young entrepreneurs, and it was the first time I saw like what was really possible, and that it doesn't really matter like how old you are or like what your background is or how many years you've worked, but that if you have a very, very good idea and a good team and you just like understand the market, that you can like basically do anything.
Just go
So
for
that
it. Yeah.
exactly. So that really inspired me. And my PhD was is actually unrelated to what I'm doing right now, but my PhD was in healthcare and health economics. I was looking at GP workforce shortages, so like family physician shortages. And initially, I was thinking of like starting, having a startup that creates an AI tool for family physicians to help them diagnose patients earlier, because I thought that would be like a nice link with my PhD. So I was looking for an engineer, I was looking for the best AI engineer in Europe or the world to help me with this as my founding engineer. And I came across Mo, my co-founder, Mohammed Alajar, on LinkedIn, and he was going viral. I saw he went viral, and I saw like the CEO of Hugging Face was commenting and like following him. So I was like, Mo, do you want to jump on a call? And I was thinking I was going to be pitching my startup to him or like convince him, but instead he was pitching his idea of like what he was trying to build to me, where he was saying like it's all going to be vertical, it's all going to be about the quality of the data these models are being trained on. And he said that if he actually pulls this off, then this would be like competing with OpenAI and Anthropic and the big ones. And I was like, okay, this guy is either a genius,
Yeah.
or he's
Or
crazy,
crazy.
or he's both,
Yeah. Yeah.
or he's both. And then I wasn't ready to like bet on him yet. So I just like started to like continue with my idea. And then I was at a co-working space in Berlin. And there were these two other entrepreneurs I met there. And they asked me like, oh, do you you have LinkedIn? So I gave him my LinkedIn, we connected, and we had one mutual connection, Mohammed Alajar. And they were like, how do you know this guy? And I'm like, we've been brainstorming of like maybe doing something together. And they were like, you've got to do it. And I'm like,
Hi.
okay, why? And they were like, because they met him at a major hackathon, I think the Mistral AI one. And Mo arrived, opened his laptop, stayed up for 2 nights in a row, was the only one who just stayed up, didn't talk to anyone, closed his laptop, won, and went home. And is like an enigma in like the AI community ever since. So then I was
Very
like,
driven,
okay,
very motivated guy.
very
Yeah,
driven,
yeah, yeah.
very driven, very driven, and very talented. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to reach out to him again. So I reached out and I said, Mo, I was like, maybe you are right. Maybe it is like your hypothesis on AI. Maybe actually like, let's just try it out. Why don't we team up for like 2 weeks and I just apply all my like business skills, network, go to markets, strategy consulting skills, and like we can see how this kind of lands. And then within 7 days, we sold our first model, which was like a Dutch model, which was trained on like IP law. And then I could like really, really, really see his talent and potential.
And who did you sell this to? This model?
It was like we sold it to an ex-ASML VP. So like someone who like understands it, and like someone who needed a model that was really, really accurate, right? Because I'll go into it a little bit later, but there's a reason why you want to like train models in the way that we do.
Mhm.
And then when we benchmarked it, it was outperforming frontier models like GPT, like Mistral Large. And I was like, okay, this guy is crazy, by the way, but he is a genius. And then I was like, okay, well, if we're really going to do this, we don't want to become like a consultancy, right? We don't want to like handle one client, do this manually. We want to have an internal. We want to bring in like the scale and the flywheel. So we developed this internal platform that basically allows anyone on our team to create sectorial LLMs. So those are like models that are trained on like a very specific sector, like banking, insurance, and that have like really, really high accuracy because of the high quality data we use. So now we just kind of like went heads down. We built that platform and we set up a pipeline of clients, and that's kind of where we're at today and how we met.
Okay, you're Dutch, you moved to London, Oxford. So now, where are you now, and what are your plans there?
Like right now we're in Paris, but we're gonna be headquartering in Amsterdam from the summer onwards. But I also spend a lot of time in London and in Oxford because I think that's where like the pet talent pool is that I have access to. So I always try to like when people say like, okay, are you like is like a French company? Is it a Dutch company? I'm hoping that it's like a European company,
Yeah.
and that therefore like we can kind of pool access to clients, talent,
Talent.
and investors together at a European level.
And you say really European, so I mean that's really your focus.
I think it's always important to like capture one market first and then go next. I think for us, there's like no reason to like just restrict to Europe because we bring like customized AI to every organization, like everywhere. It could be anything, but it's what we're trying to be careful of is that, and I've experienced this in Oxford especially. There's a huge draw to the US, right? It's like you've got all these the probably the best entrepreneurs in Europe are like applying to like be part of Y Combinator or like the bridge by Entrepreneur First, or just like just move to San Francisco, which makes a lot of sense because that's like where but it feels like things really happen. But we're being intentional by like starting in Europe and like headquartering in Amsterdam because I really think it's possible. And I think I think our client traction is in Europe. We want to have like European investors at the table, and we want to have like European talent. And then if there at one point is a reason to go to the US and go there, then why not? But for us right now, it seems like European might be the place to start this. Also because it's all about like owning your models, owning your data, like sovereign AI, customized AI. We have models with an on-premise deployment option, which means that your data never leaves your IT infrastructure. And that's like already like huge traction for this in Europe with like the regulation changes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a hot topic right now, so I
Yeah.
think you're in a good moment. Can you explain to me, as you would explain to your grandma, basically, what it is exactly that you are doing? So, what is it
Yeah.
exactly that you're building, and why is it so different than like the big names?
The best way I always explain this is like if you see the output of like AI as jewelry, then the input is like the kind of the diamonds or whatever the stones you put into like jewelry as well as like the raw materials like gold or silver. So what I always say like the output of AI, like the actual jewelry, the quality of that is going to depend on like the quality of the stones you put in it. So what happens with, for instance, ChatGPT and what you see like happening a lot, and I think it was like the Dutch word of 2024, 2025, you have hallucinations. So it's working with such a large data set with not only noise, but also like trash, that the quality of the jewelry is not that good. So what we do is we start like all the way at the beginning. So we start with creating our own high quality data sets for a specific sector. So for
Hmm.
instance, like if you have a Dutch bank or a French bank, what we do is we create like a really, really high quality data set on Dutch banking. And then we train our models on that data set, that data set is like way, way, way smaller than the data sets that are being used by frontier models, and therefore like use way less tokens. And I think when tokens get more expensive, this is going to be interesting. But because it's like trained on like such a good data set, the output is just going to be way more accurate. So for instance, in our Dutch IP law LLM, You see it all over the news that judges are being annoyed with lawyers submitting, documents with fake cases. So the Dutch Appeal LLM, like it was citing the correct cases. And in our benchmarks, we outperform these frontier models by like 10%. So that's the first thing. It's the kind of the accuracy that comes from what we call sector specific reasoning. And that all comes down to like what type of data do you train it on? How do you fine tune? And these are all things that are like, there's no like standard for this, or like there's no consensus on what the best method is. Everyone is still figuring it out. But because my co-founder has like won all the major hackathons on this, so like this Mistral AI fine tuning one, the Stanford research one, and like, yeah, he's done this a few times before. We know that like his approach, which is hard to figure out, but he's spent like 4 years figuring this out, leads to like really, really high accuracy, and no one else has figured that out. And I think what we've done with that is we've optimized it. So like in our internal platform, I can like fine tune like Mo. I can create data sets like Mo, and we're like the first ones to do this basically.
Okay, so you have a sort of a secret recipe on how
Yeah.
to do that.
So for the data curation, we're applying for a patent for the way we create the data.
That's really your USP, right? And if you look at companies, at corporates, that 95% of the pilots that they're doing with AI right now are failing. Why is that?
Yeah, I think this is like a interesting like mismatch. Actually, at most organizations, AI adoption is going like really, really slow, or like it's not working at all. And there's like three major reasons for this. One is that in many regulated industries, people are just not allowed to use it. So this happens a lot at like a lot of banks. For instance, like European banks, people are not allowed to use AI. And the reason why they can't use it is because you can't put your confidential company information into ChatGPT or Cloud. That's the one reason why it kind of fails. It's this that they just can't use it. And yeah, I think with the changes in regulation, more and more organizations should be worried about like sending their confidential information to public APIs. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is this lack of accuracy thing, right? If I ask ChatGPT to write like a Dutch email for me, it doesn't sound Dutch, it sounds Donglish. So that's the second reason, like lack of accuracy. And the third one is lack of customization. And I mean, like things are changing now with Cloud Code, but just like using a chatbot is not going to change how work actually gets done. How we kind of see this is that we want to become like a cursor for different industries, a cursor for banking, a cursor for insurance. So something that's like integrated into your workflows rather than like opening a chatbot all the time. So these are the three key reasons, and we kind of attack like all three separately.
Yeah. If you look then at competitions, you of course also see more vertical AI companies now popping up, really focused on one sector, maybe only legal or maybe only. Yeah, so how do you see that? Or also companies that are making their own AI tool, that are working on their own AI tool. I mean, those are even more probably your competitors than ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. So we always say like our competition are like in-house teams. So the difference is that for them, it normally like takes these in-house teams like 6 months up to a year to develop this. It takes a long, long, long time to figure it out. And I think the way we compete with them, if we were to say that, is that, or provide like a better alternative, is like our speed of creating this. My co-founder Mo at his previous company, he would do this. He would create these like in-house LLMs for different like companies. For instance, I think he was at Allianz and he created like an in-house LLM for them. And the first time he did it at like the fastest speed possible. It was 6 months. And the second time he did it, he was like it was 3 months. And now I think we can develop it in like less, like a week or 2 weeks. And then of course like it's the speed. And
So it's
also like
6 months versus 2 weeks, basically. So
Yeah.
that's a big difference. And of
Mhm.
course, also a whole team that is working on it then.
Yeah, so we're cheaper. So that these teams could like focus on like the customization, and we're like delivering the core model. And it's interesting that the approach for many like tech savvy companies is to have an in-house team working on this, which makes a lot of sense, but it's actually cheaper and faster to work with us.
Okay, so I understand you tick the speed box versus in-house LLMs, but what about then this vertical AI companies. So let's say a legal AI that's only focusing on the legal things. So how do you compete with those companies?
Yeah, that's a really good question because you've got like Harvey and Legora, for instance, and they are like completely into like the law vertical. But besides that, I think a law is the market, is the vertical where I think this adoption or like the thinking or the companies are like very advanced. But in the other verticals, there's not like a Legora or Harvey for banking yet. There's not a Legora or Harvey for insurance yet, or like for aerospace companies.
There's still a very big opportunity there. That's what you're saying, basically. Yeah.
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 And like our go-to market, but this is like actually like a decision we had to make from the beginning. Is it we were because we saw like a lot of traction with banks, and we were like, do we want to become like the Harvey or Legora for banks and just like already narrow down, or do we want to continue to just you know provide our models to like any sector? And I think in terms of like clients, getting clients, the being like the Harvey or the Cora for banking or insurance works really well. And that might be like where we go in the future. But for now, I think it's worth like exploring all these sectors and kind of seeing where the adoption works the best. And yeah, because in the end, like what we create is the same for every sector. Like we just create like high quality sector specific models that can be deployed on premise. And what we're good at is like creating the data and the fine tuning, which makes us kind of agnostic to any sector.
It's only probably your go-to market is more complex if you would do everything basically, right? That could require different skill set or different network or different things to really get into all the companies in all the different sectors. I don't know how you see that.
Yeah, the way we went about this is that I know from like strategy consulting that you have so much information about what's going on in like all these enterprises. And like if anyone probably knows like why these large enterprises are not adopting AI, it's like the consultants and specifically the IT consultants. So you have like very large IT consultancies in the world. And I just asked them, like, look, we think AI adoption is going slow because of the reasons I just mentioned, like the security concerns, accuracy, lack of customization. And we're the solution to this by providing, sector specific models that can be deployed on premise. And they were like, yes, yeah, 100%. And they haven't found a provider yet. And they're putting us forward now to their clients, which is like a very nice go-to market for us because they know exactly which type of enterprises in Europe need us. And
Yeah.
they will do the implementation consultancy and the change management, and we just deliver the model.
So they will help you actually with your go-to market
Yeah,
and your sales.
exactly. They basically do our go-to market because right now there's a huge gap in the discourse between experts and AI nerds and the real world. So I think if I cold email, I don't know, some like CEO at let's say Rabobank, and I say like, do you want a fine-tuned model? That doesn't make any sense because it's not very clear yet that that's like the solution to the problems. But I think slowly people are realizing, okay, verticalization is the future. Fine-tuned models are the future. Smaller models are the future. Our models run on 10 times less tokens than the frontier ones, so it will be cheaper.
So it's also less data usage because I see that also as a big risk, right? Every time you ask something to AI, it's like, okay, there goes another tree. We also need to start thinking about that as well, right?
Yeah, and I think now people are becoming like so dependent on, like their ChatGPT and Claude subscriptions, and we kind of feel like tokens are free or like don't really cost anything, but actually, like I think the prices of tokens are going to go up by a lot, and it's going to become like way more expensive. And I think that the market naturally always goes to the most efficient point, and because we have this way smaller data set, high quality data set, where we use 10 times less tokens. So yeah, it's all kind of pointing towards our direction, and we can see now others are going to make a similar move to like closer to what we're doing. But yeah, but I think that that's what the experts know and like what we know. But then it's like, how do you sell that to a CEO of a big bank, right?
Exactly. So how would that work then in terms of business model?
So our business model is a double fee. We have a deployment fee where the fee for like developing the specialized customized model for the client and deploying it for them if they want it to be deployed on premise. And then there's like a monthly subscription fee for the model maintenance and like quarterly updates. If there's any issues, we get a notification. on our platform, so you can instantly give feedback. So we're being super responsive. So that's where the monthly subscription comes from.
And do you keep updating then also your data set basically in the back?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the monthly. Yeah, that's part of like the monthly subscription fee, and then it depends on like whether companies have their own GPUs or whether they like want to use our GPUs provider. So yeah, it's like once again like our whole point is like customization because we think that's the future. So the business model is also customized.
So it depends on
Yeah,
what they want and what you can offer, and then you determine a
yeah.
price also for that. Okay. What can you show in terms of traction? What you did so far? Pilots, clients. I mean, you said already about this Dutch legal IP. What else can you tell me?
The past few months up until now, we've been focusing on like 0 to 1, which we try to answer like two questions. One is, can we create like an internal platform that with which we can scale like super quickly, and anyone on our team can create the sectorial models like Mo. So can we optimize that like data creation and fine tuning? That's the first question we try to answer. So yes, we can, and also we spend close to 1 million in terms of R&D costs on this. Luckily, they came from like credits from Amazon and Azure. But yeah, it's a very expensive product. And the second question, which is like my domain, is what are the most interesting verticals and how do we reach them? So that was more about setting up these partnerships. The reason why we now have opened up our round is because we have answered those two questions. Like, yes, we have the platform that can scale like super quickly and can do this. And yes, there's clear traction in the market across all sectors. And now we're going to bring it to like 1 to 10. So only now we're going to hire like sales engineers and go to market for.
And you depend a lot on the skill set of Mo, of your co-founder. In order to scale, you want your whole team to be able to do this and
Yeah.
to work on this. So how do you secure that your team is keeping this in-house knowledge in-house? And second question would be then, how certain are you that, because everyone is now indeed with cloud code and whatever, I mean, people are like spending day and night on this. So how certain are you're gonna keep ahead of the rest basically with your company?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I really like these questions. Yeah. So the magic recipe, it will be, you have to be really good to understand what that is, just because we've optimized it, right? So you have to, so you don't do that manually. It's like part of the optimization, and also of course like NDAs are also part of that. And then the second question is about like, everyone can use Cloud Code now. They pull up a demo, like create an app within like 24 hours. Um, which is so true. And I think that's why like all these like B2B SaaS software things are going to get way more competitive, and we're going to see like a huge change there. But it's not really helping with like like underlying AI. Mo has, been doing this for 4 years, and his technique has been confirmed by like the wins at hackathons, but also like peer review papers about this technique. Yeah, I think we're almost like a first mover, like having optimized this. And I think there will be new players, but one of the things about us is like once we work together with a client and we bring them customized AI, we can like completely expand into their workflows in the way they prefer. And I think a client relationship like that's less likely to change or you get rid of
No, so
because
your
it's
first mover advantage basically. So you need to be
yeah
fast and get those clients in, and then you learn,
yeah
of course, also from them, which is
yeah
again giving you more advantage there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is So exactly, so like we're at a point right now where we could also not raise any money and just go like this, and we can probably from like the pipeline of clients, I don't know, make 10 million or more. But we've got the platform, we've confirmed the hypothesis. We don't want to try this or just like grow. We want to go at this like 100,000% because it's just a matter of like who's going to capture this market first, and we're like completely set up to do that. So the reason why we've opened up around is because, we want to go at it like 100,000% because the moment is now. There's no
Yeah, the
reason to
momentum
not
is
do.
now, so you should grab
Yeah,
the moment. That's
yeah,
that's basically what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's like, I really think it's like a once in a lifetime
yeah,
thing,
yeah. Because could you say, like in one sentence, yeah, your big ambition, like what are you gonna achieve in the next five years? If we have the
Yeah,
same conversation here, what
yeah,
would you
yeah.
say?
It's like as large as it can be. So to be like the new Anthropic, literally. If I think if we raise now, if we get the right people on the team, if we scale effectively, like, then that's not impossible. And that's like where like our horizon is. And we want to own the full pipeline. So at some point we want to build like our own data centers, our own foundation model, and is as large as it can be, because the market is as large as it can be. And it's not often that a market of this size, which is like a 12 trillion euro market opportunity, is that's like relatively uncaptured because of like 95% of pilots fail. That doesn't come along often, and we have the product, the benchmarks, the team
to do it.
So
big mission, big ambition. So you're raising right now. You get your funding in. So what is then your next step? Are clients waiting for you to start, or are you waiting to hire people? What is it you're going to do with the funding, basically?
Yeah, so we've got one IT consultancy that we're working with that is not us as a question like, how many can you take on now? And we're like, how many do you have? And they're like, a lot, but like, how many can you take? So I think it is about capturing that demand that we feel. So I think the hiring, basically the way we're going to structure our companies, you're going to have like mini me's, so mini Kaatje or Catharina, and mini Mo's. So we're going to like, Mo will lead that like internal platform.
Mini me and mini Mo, I like that actually.
Yeah. And then like he has like his eyes on people he's worked with, or like amazing engineers who are gonna like, work together with him on like making that internal platform even stronger, better, and really thinking ahead of like the future and like responding to that. And then you have people like me with like more of a consultant business background who really understand how enterprises make decisions and kind of like which enterprises to target. So yeah, I'm super most excited about the hiring, because one of the things that really drew me to entrepreneurship is that after spending 4 years in Oxford among like some of the smartest people in the world, I realized like probably half of my, if I were just speaking economically, human capital is like the people I know. Why would I why, if I've spent so much time with these like amazing people, why would I not create something with them?
So so if you would get the funding, it would also be quite easy, that's what you say, to fill those open positions.
Exactly.
What is your one metric that you and Mo are always talking about every day? Like, okay, this we are working on this. Is it the number of clients, or the number of countries, or the number of sectors? I don't know.
For like the proof of our scale and our growth, it will be like the number of enterprises. If you ask me, if you ask Mo, it would be like the benchmarks.
Yeah. And so you're fundraising right now. Can you share a little bit about the round that you're structuring?
So we're structuring it in a way where at the end of the day, we want the cap table that's going to reflect like, the kind of the stages of the company. So we definitely want European investors. We're talking to major French ones, Dutch ones, UK ones. Basically, like the key thing here is that talking to them is also challenging smaller European funds to think like really bigly, right? How a lot of like European funds make decisions is that they invest in a company with a startup with a total addressable market, some traction. But often these startups don't have the ambition of becoming the new Anthropic, right? And if you really back us, if you align with us on our thesis on like verticalization and customization in the future, and on our ambition that we can really, really become one of the biggest players, then that's what we're looking for in our investors. We're looking for ambition alignment, because everyone is saying Europe should have built their own like big AI companies, sovereign AI, customized AI. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're completely like there, we're completely ready. And like we can go at this two ways. We can go at it like at a normal way, like a little bit slower, or we just go at it 100,000%. And capture that market now and be like super ambitious. Thank you very much, Kaatje, for sharing your story. Very interesting, very big ambition. You're gonna tackle this whole market and become the next very big thing. I really can see it happening. So thanks for sharing that. So if you want to find out more information, you can go to your website, which is legml. legml.ai.
Yes. So thanks for that. My name is Laurie Lancee. This was AtVenture DealFlow, and see you at the next great deal.